Yes, everybody, what's happening? This is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils, and Fred has been officially announced. He is now a Manchester United player. The delay was only over a work permit. Fred doesn't get one as a matter of course, because obviously that he's not played for an EU country so far. He hasn't played in England before, so it's a little bit of a difference to when we sign someone like Sanchez, who's already got a permit to work in the country. You sign someone from abroad, blah, blah, blah. There's a little bit of a complication to it because also the amount of games that Fred has played for the national team. So it's gone through. Obviously, they're accepting all of the things that United was saying, and he is now an official player. United have announced him, and they almost did it, didn't they? We saw Fred the Red in the video. We was all waiting for him to just pop the head off, and there he was. But actually, it's a pretty good announcement video. A little bit of a samba beat in there, and showing the passion of being a player and a fan that's signing for Manchester United. So I liked it. I thought it was a really good announcement video. I think people are going to start trying to one-up each other with all these announcement videos, and I thought United just kept it low-key, and I think that's what they should be, unless it's someone that's an absolute mega-star signing. So some of the details that we've had on the official announcement is United are delighted to announce that it's finalised the transfer of Federico Rodriguez de Paulo Santos, aka Fredge, which is how he's supposed to say it, but we are definitely just going to call the guy Fred. We are in Manchester. Welcome to Manchester. Now you get a Mancunian sounding name. Well done, son. The player completed a medical and signed a 5-year contract with the option to extend for a further year. 25-year-old Brazilian international midfielder has won a number of club honours, including 3 league titles in Ukraine. Mourinho's had his say, and he said Fred will complement our other midfielders' qualities which we need. His creative brain and passing vision will give us another dimension to our game. I'm very happy he's joining our club and believe our players know how important he can be to our team. And Fred has had his say as well. This is the biggest club in the world. I'm pretty sure that they get told that. Say that in your interview. This is the biggest club in the world. I'm delighted to be a part of this amazing team. To work with Jose Mourinho, who has won so many trophies in his time as a coach. It's an opportunity not to be missed. I cannot wait to get started and to meet my new teammates. I would like to thank everyone at Shakhtar Donetsk for everything they've done for me for the past 5 years. This is a very exciting time for me. My focus will now be fully on the World Cup with Brazil, and that is the end of the official announcement from Manchester United. Right, so my thoughts. My thoughts are Fred's a very good midfielder. I'd stop short of saying he's one of the best in the world. I'd stop short of saying that he's world class. I think he's a very good midfielder. And as Jose Mourinho correctly points out, I would say that I think what you can assert there is he's a midfielder that gives us a certain amount of qualities that Manchester United probably needed in that midfield. One of the things I think we needed was tempo. One of the things that we needed was someone that was going to pick the ball up and drive it forward as a first choice, and I think that's what Fred offers us. Now, I don't think you need 11 world-class players in a team, so I'm not saying this in a negative light. I think he's a very good player, and like Jose said, he's going to be someone that complements what we're doing, someone that adds to what we're trying to do in a midfield and blends. You can have all the world-class players in the world, but if they don't blend, which we've sort of seen. Pogba, undoubtedly world-class. Sanchez, undoubtedly world-class. Can't get the blend perfect between them. When they click, it's unstoppable. When they don't click, you can throw a blanket over the two of them. It's not working. I think Fred gives us a bit of an extra dimension, and I'm very happy with his signing. What does it mean for other transfers? Well, I think that what he's offering, Milinkovic-Savic offered a slightly different flavour, and I would now be very surprised if we did bring in Savic as well as Fred, unless we're able to sell or unless we manage to plug some of the other holes as well. I think we still desperately need a left-back, and I still think we still desperately need an experienced centre-half. There's no need for me, like I seen a lot of people talking about Davinson Sanchez the other day. Do you know what, he'd be great for United. I disagree. I think we've got the likes of Fosu Mensah, we've got Axel Tuanzebe. If you're going to take a gamble on a young player, we've got our own. What we need is a leader, what we need is experience, and I think that if you're going to look for centre-halves, that's the qualities that you should be looking for. Somebody like an Alderweireld, somebody like a Bonucci, somebody that's only got a couple of years and isn't potentially going to block the route into the first team for the likes of Fosu Mensah or Tuanzebe. I'm going to come to the comments in a second, so you guys let me know what you want to be answered. So Abertoni says, now then, what do I think he will offer over Herrera? I asked to compare Herrera, as you'd imagine, Pogba match up with the other two, with Fred, therefore Herrera being replaced. I think it is Herrera that's going to have his nose pushed out of joint here just a little bit. And I think that what he offers is, when Herrera came, Herrera was a player that was an 8 or occasionally a number 10 for Athletic Bilbao. And that sort of side of his game has slipped and he's become more of a 6, more of a destroyer, someone that I love that dirty side of him. And I think that he offers that very well. I think he offers man marking abilities very well, and I think he's someone that you can play when you want to allow one of your midfielders to push on and have someone who's a little bit more defensive minded alongside Matic. I think Fred's way more dynamic. I think he's quicker. I think he's quicker moving the ball forward. I think Herrera and Matic at times can be a bit sluggish. Herrera's given go in the final thirds actually not terrible, but I think he's a little bit too safe when it's maybe transitioning from defence to attack and Herrera finds the ball and he has to look up. I don't think he plays those risky passes, which might be a good thing. I don't think he plays those quick passes, and I think even Pogba at times can delay the ball a little bit too much. Fred is going to move the ball through the thirds that little bit quicker, and I think that's one of the massive things that United have really lacked. Dapo says we need Savic when Pogba is injured, who was take his role. You can't have someone like Savic as a backup to a player. That's just not going to fly. You're not going to pay 100 million and just be like, you just sit there until Pogba gets injured. I can't see that, to be honest. What about Herrera, says Beto. Like I just mentioned there, I think Herrera might miss out here, and I would not be shocked to see Herrera moved on this summer because of that. Quasi says, I wouldn't go for Savic if I had the choice. I'd go for Cruz. He can play a more defensive role and create from deep. I think Cruz would give you a different option, and I could see Cruz fitting into the midfield pool that we've got very well, whereas I think Savic literally fulfills one role which we've already got Paul Pogba to fill. Ruthless Sausage says sod off with Boateng, living up to his name there. Absolutely. Right, I'm gonna repeat what I've just said a little bit for everybody that's just joining us. So Manchester United have announced Fred as official. The video did have Fred the Red in it, but it didn't have Fred taking the head off Fred the Red. Instead it was a little bit of a nice energetic announcement, and I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty cool. The club have announced that he's had a 5-year contract. Jose Mourinho's come in and said he's going to complement the other midfielders' qualities, and Fred has come out and said, biggest club in the world, excited to play for Jose Mourinho, and all that sort of stuff. So that is where we're at. Fred has now been officially announced. It was only a work permit that was delaying the deal because he's a player from outside the EU and hasn't played in England before, so therefore hasn't had one. Scott Schowler says 4-3-3, do I think? I hope so. I think 4-3-3 is the best formation for United, and I think it's the most flexible. Whether you're playing against a smaller team or a bigger team, you can just play the same formation, and the different personnel are going to give you a whole different flavour for the team, and I do like 4-3-3. He wasn't good last season. I'm assuming you're talking about Herrera, and I would say he was inconsistent last season. I won't say he wasn't good. Will there be a place for Savic if Mata and Herrera both leave? Maybe. Peter Holmes saying, I think Herrera and Fellaini will leave. If Milinkovic-Savic signs among Fred, Pogba and Matic, who will be benched, that's the thing. I think you're looking at 4 probable world first choice players, so I'd be very shocked to see Savic come in unless somebody went, you know. Would I rather have Jerome Boateng or Harry Maguire? I'd probably take Boateng over him. I think his injury record's been massively outplayed, but you know, Cruz won't come. He's at Madrid. I wouldn't be so sure about that, to be honest. If the big tree is leaving, surely Jose won't let Herrera go. Here's the thing, now, we might sign some more midfielders. He might have already earmarked Pereira and Fosu Mensah as midfielders for next season, so he's not worrying. But we could potentially be losing Herrera, Carrick and Fellaini from this year's squad for next season. So that's a lot of people that you have to replace. Now, McTominay obviously stepped up, which I don't think Jose planned for. And that was probably, you know, replacing Michael Carrick, essentially, or the contribution Michael Carrick was going to play. But Fellaini had a big say last season, and towards the end of the season, Herrera had a big say. So you do need someone that's going to come in if you lose those two. People are asking what shirt number he's got. I don't know. People mentioning Wilshere or Yaya Toure. No, we're trying to improve the team, so we don't want people who aren't going to improve the team. Get Bale in, says Unveiled. We need more players with Anders' passion. I would agree on that, mate. Yeah, I mean, passion doesn't make you a great player. Look, I've got tons of passion. I'm garbage, so you're not going to want to sign me for United. You have to have the full package. But I do think Ander Herrera, the way he plays the game, I think he's an actual real leader, and I think United arguably need somebody like that. Akush says, I saw Sané, the Senegalese centre-back. He had an amazing match against Poland. Ndombele is being mentioned by Cullen as well. Yeah, he's a good player, definitely worth looking at. We need a leader, that's why we lost silly games, says Ryan. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think leadership is something that's I think it's a rare quality in the game at the moment. I think those real characters are missing, and they're certainly missing at Old Trafford, and I certainly think that's something that we need to replace. Before we go, let's give it your ratings out of 10 then. I want to know how happy you guys are with the Fred signing. My personal belief is I don't think he's a world-class player. I'm not going to sit here and say United have signed the best midfielder in the world, because that's just not true. What we've signed is signed a very specific player with some qualities that I do think complement what Manchester United are trying to do quite well, and I'm very excited to see how he blends and complements Matic and Pogba next season. I think it's going to be very exciting. So if you guys can rate it out of 10, and I'll read some of those out. So we got a 7.5 from the Full-Time Devils account. That's producer Chris. Mr. NWT says 7 out of 10. We've got a 9, a 2 from Robert. Pogba, Savic, Fred, midfield 3, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7s and 8s. So I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Loads of 7s, loads of 8s. I think that's the one. I think it's a more of a let's see what happens sort of signing, rather than absolutely blowing everybody's mind with the signing. Right, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, and let's watch Fred this weekend at the World Cup. Hopefully he gets some minutes. See you in a bit.